connected to you, they better stay close to you. Because the next thing God is doing for you is going to be so, 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 so. The devil already know when it is going to be. God bless you.
Hello, hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing very, very well. You all, welcome back to Jesus Sprinkles God Written Love Stories. We are kicking off 2023 with our first God Written Love Story with the Tunsils. I'm going to ask you all right now if you will please go ahead and invite someone. Use the button that says participants. Go to invite, copy invite link, and invite someone to come on in to the Zoom room. We are going to go ahead and get started though with our God written love story with the Tunsils, Bruce and Tiffany. So excited to hear this amazing God written love story. It's about to look, guys, look at what. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for grabbing your copy. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. All right, you guys. Well, let's get into this. We are so excited to begin 2023 with our, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you guys, 2023 with our God written love story with the Tunsils. For the Tunsil, would you open us up in prayer?
Sure. Let us pray. Father, which art in heaven, Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to come together, dear Lord, and just talk to individuals about what it means to be married and what it means to put you first in the marriage, dear Lord. We just ask you to be with us, guide the words to say, that we're able to be an encouragement and an edification. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so, so much. All right, you all. Well, other people will be coming in very soon, but we're going to go ahead and get into this. So, guys, tell us, who are you together and apart? Who are you?
Do you want to go?
You can start.
Well, uh, individually, I am a daughter, I am a sister, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am a worker, I am someone that is consistently evolving each and every day. So that is the essence of Tiffany, literally all day, every day by myself.
All right. So she's pretty much set the bar pretty high with her answer. Um, but I'm a father, brother, son, husband, a singer, supervisor, manager, minister of music. Um, I'm a lover of people. Um, I could go on and on. I really find joy in bringing encouragement to people in whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's music, whether it's at work, whether it's at home with my wife and kids. I just believe in having a good
hmm And then together, we are ministry leaders. We are parents. We are managers in our jobs, in our locales. He is a manager, and I am in upper management as well. Together, we try to be the best for each other, and the best for others. I could truly say we are servers because we do like helping people, and just being like in that servant side is just kind of in us. Like, I think that's what drew us together because we
time.
both have that in common. And I'm always looking for opportunity to help. And he kind of, I don't want to do that bit, but then he'll be like, oh, okay, I like this, and then
It
it kind of
depends.
works.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
It really does. But have you ever heard that song? I'm a movement by myself, a force when we're together. I actually tell Tiffany that all the time, and I don't just say it just to be saying it, but I know that individually we do all right, but our union together, I really feel like it's a force. And that's one of the things I love about her. That's one of the things I love about our togetherness. Because I'm just be honest with you. We could be real. We family, right? You know, I come from 103rd Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida. Uh, she laughing because she knows my history, my background. Um, but I could truly say, you know, with us being together, it allowed me to evolve as a man, as a human being, and ultimately as a Christian because of the bond that we have and the love that we have for the Lord together. So it truly means a lot.
Ooh, y'all are starting off. Ooh, y'all are going in. This is beautiful. So I want you to just go back to what you said. You said, I am a what by myself, but we're forced together.
I'm a movement by myself, but we're a force when we're together.
I love it. Tiffany, speak on that real quick. When he tells you that, what are you thinking when he says things like that?
So sometimes I'd be like, whatever, dude. Because it has always been something that he's always kind of came to. Now, at first I was like, I don't really know. But like, we do good. But he's like, no. He's like, really, when we're together, we really can do some amazing things. And when he tells me, it still is kind of hard for me to believe because I feel like he has so many different attributes. And then I feel like I have that as well. So it's always a unique feeling when we get a chance to see the fruit of the things that we're doing together. And I think that that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, we're something because it's pretty amazing to watch the efforts that we put in and just to see the smiling faces or to see that we uplifted somebody. It really it gives me all the feels. I like that's all I can say. It gives me the feels. Like it makes me like, okay, all right, I like him. Okay, okay, I can do life with him. This is good. All right. And it makes me want to continue on. So yeah.
That is beautiful. Okay, you guys. So go take us back. How did you meet? How did you meet?
You want me to tell it?
I'm gonna
His
tell
and
my
her
version.
versions, y'all. His and her version.
Yeah.
Okay.
So y'all might know that it's always two sides to the story,
Oh gosh.
and then you know, ultimately, thirdly, there's the truth. I believe mine is the truth, but you know,
We gonna see. All right, let's see.
this is my version of
Okay.
events. So we actually met when we were very young. We were 12. Um, her and her family moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and they started attending our church. I was a member at the West Side Church of Christ at the time, and um, that's where I met her. And I immediately remember thinking like, she's different. And we'll get into that later on. I think we got some other questions where we can talk about, you know, impressions and things of that sort. But that's how we met in Jacksonville, Florida at the age of 12.
That's it?
That's how we met. That was the question.
Okay, yeah, that is how we met. So that is how we met. But I think you guys need to hear the other portion of it because, like you said, my father was in the military. So I left when I was entering into um, the end of middle school, like entering into high school. And I really didn't think twice about it. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, new state, new place, because that's always been my norm because I've moved all the time. And then it was time for me to go to college. And I was living in the state of Washington at the time. And when it came time for colleges, I was like, where am I gonna go? Now, back in the day, they didn't have all these like rallies and stuff where people were reaching out to you. You had to go and find. And it was kind of like a what's around and who is reaching out or what do you know. And I was given scholarship opportunity between St. Leo University, that's here in Florida, and then this other school that was McMurray. But St. Leo was in Florida. I had made a vow to God. I said, I'm getting back to Florida one way or another somehow because I just love the sunshine, I love the weather. And so I chose it. When I was in school, there was a church here called Northside Church of Christ where Brother Doss was the minister. And he would always throw like these big, like back to school rallies. And Bruce has been a singer forever with his groups and everything. And so we met back up while we were in college. And it was just kind of like, you know how you see each other and you're like, oh, oh, I remember him or I remember her. And I had a boyfriend at the time. He had a girlfriend. So we weren't really trying to hook up like that. It was just kind of a, oh, it's good seeing you now that you're grown. And oh, okay, have a great day. And then that was it. Fast forward to like, I think it was maybe a year and a half or maybe 2 years later. And Northside Church of Christ in Jacksonville. If you all know Charlie McClendon, you know he always puts on a big production, big program. And it was one of those things where um, I was going just because I like going to church events and functions. And wherever I'm at, his little brother Mario will find me in a crowd. I can be in the biggest crowd ever, but Demario Thompson was going to find Tiffany, okay? And he said, "Hey, Tim, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, Mario, what's going on?" And he was like, Bruce is single now. So if you want to get with him, you can be like that Genuine song. And, if it was meant to be, y'all should be together. And I was like, first of all, if your brother
That's
wants
not
to
how
come,
my brother sounds. Go ahead.
anyways, first of all, if he wants to come and talk to me, he will bring himself over to me and he will talk to me all on his own.
Time out, too. She thinks that I sent my brother. No, I did not. I didn't even know she was there. I didn't find out she was there until who said
I killed that flag on the plate.
But it's facts. It's the truth. I did not send him. I didn't even know she was there. I didn't find that out until later. Go ahead.
That's what he says, right?
It's
so it was so they give intermission times in between like concert and stuff. So it was still intermission, and Bruce finds his way back over there, and he's like, "Hey," and so he's like, "I didn't send my brother to come and talk to you." I was like, and I was like, "Okay," but we were talking, and it was pretty cool. So we exchanged numbers. Now this is back in the day when we didn't have like cell phones like this. It was like you had your cell phone, and you still was using the house phone to dial out that type of thing. And so we exchanged numbers, and we actually had really good conversation for a good couple of weeks. But winter break happened, and so I went back home. Y'all, guess what? He ghosted me. He never called me back. Like we was having good conversation, and then all of a sudden it just stopped, and I was like, okay. I said, well, you know what? I ain't worried about him. You know what? I'm about to be in my last year. I got a full credit. I was doing internship. It was a lot of stuff. So I really wasn't trying to be focused. I was like, his loss, not mine. And I just kept it moving. Break was coming in. The new semester was starting. There's another church. Again, music is always our theme in between there. There was a concert that was going on at Pinecrest Church of Christ in St. Petersburg, Florida. They always were throwing some type of concert pre-pandemic. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go. Now, I was supposed to have all of my friends come with me from college. My roommates at the time who were in my apartment, they were like, yeah, we're gonna go, we'll be with you, Tiff. And nobody showed up, y'all. Everybody canceled on me. So I was at the apartment by myself, and I said, you know what? I'm not gonna go because I gotta do laundry. I ain't did nothing. And y'all know back in the day we had to be like dressed when we was going to concerts and stuff at church. And all I had was jeans and a cute little sweater top and some heels. And I was like, I can't go in there like this. But I said, okay, I was gonna make it a blockbuster night, and I was gonna have my food and my clothes, and it was just gonna be me and movies or whatever I could find. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go because yes, with the pantyhose, Kim, yes, you had to be correct, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go because I need some Jesus. This is gonna be a hard semester. I might as well get there. So I end up going. I said, they're gonna talk about me, but it'll be all right. I'll go. I ride in there, right? His middle brother, because he has a lot of brothers, but his middle brother, Doug, was there. And I almost hit Doug with my car. I wasn't trying to, y'all, but I couldn't see, and he was walking, and I was like, oh gosh. And I said, Doug, I'm so sorry. And he was like, oh, it's okay. He's like, hey, Tiff. And then I said, oh man, he gonna be here. I don't want to see him. And I said, oh, here we go. So I get into the concert, and we're having a good time. Concert was going, the group is performing, and he comes up and he's like, hey, he said, I'm so sorry. I lost my phone. I lost your number. I lived in Jacksonville. I didn't know how to get in touch with you. Now, back in the day, that was really true. But me, I'm playing cool, calm, collected, like, I said, okay, that's all right. And he was like, let me take you out, just to make it up. He was like, I really am sorry about that. I was like, I don't know.
Another time up. She was looking good that night too, y'all. Boy, she had on some jeans. white shirt, and she had like a little black sweater top or something that went
Mhm.
around it. Oh yeah, I remember.
I was looking good, y'all. I was looking cute in my outfit, even though it was jeans. I was looking cute. So I said, okay, I'll go. And so we ended up going out, and we really had a good time. Like it was just fun times and just hanging out. I wasn't trying to be like in relationship or anything, but it was still good to just hang out. He had actually asked me, he was like, hey, I can see you being my girlfriend. I'm like, no. I was like, look, I got, school. I got a good full semester. I can't take on having a guy right now. And I said, so, we can talk, but that's all I can give you right now. And he said, I respect that and I can do that. And he called me literally off like every week on the week when I had exams, when I was going through making presentations, different stuff. And he would pray with me and he would say, I just want you to do well. I was elected to be my graduation speaker, and his brother was getting married on the same weekend. He was like, I would be there, but I can't. And then, I just want you to know that I'm there for you. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had been telling him about how I wanted to treat myself. I was doing a dual program with master and bachelor's. And so I was like, I'm going to go. Oprah was still on TV, all right? And so she had just been debuting The Lion King on Broadway and how they were starting to tour and travel. So I said, as my gift, I'm going to New York and I'm going to have that. I'm going to get it. This is what I'm going to do. And he was like, okay, no big deal. I went to a Catholic based school, so they take like Passover and like Easter. It is a really, really big thing. And so we had break during that time. Like they shut everything down. And he was like, why don't you come during your break time? He was like, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't know about that. Because, again, this is back in the day. You can't be riding up to nobody's house, especially if y'all ain't together like that. Like, I don't know. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And he had actually got me tickets to go see The Lion King on Broadway. I was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see it. And we had a good time talking, and we really got into deep conversation then. And that was kind of like the start of, okay, I could see myself with this guy. Like he's cool, like all right. And we didn't have any whole bars. Like we talked about everything from church to how we care about our families to how we care about each other, what I want to do for me. But he was trying to get into like just stuff that could be like make or break to really see if you like that person. And then graduation came. We said we were going to be together. He asked me to marry him in October. We were supposed to have a June wedding. Didn't happen. We got married in January, went to the courthouse, and then the rest is history. Here we are almost 15 years later. So that is our meet story.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of rebuttals. So in a nutshell, that was pretty much it. But I do remember you saying include first impressions. So I want to make sure that I touch on that. Anybody who knows Tiffany, she laughed already. You know that she's different, okay? And I'm not saying different in a bad way. It's a good way. But she was always different. Even when we were kids, like at 12 years old, I can tell it was something different about this girl. Like the way she carried herself, the way she walked, the way she talked. It was so many girls that I knew at that time that was just immature, but it was something very mature about her, and that really intrigued me. And that was like one of the first memories that I have of Tiffany and who she is.
Yeah. And when it comes to impressions, our youth group made it really big for us to be friends. Like they were like, y'all gonna hook up, that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, we need y'all to be friends. And Bruce was just a really cool guy. And
Facts.
and then he's got a swag about him. Now, that's not just because he's my husband, but him, his brother, like all the men in their family, they are swagged out, y'all. And I was always kind of drawn to that kind of swagger. Like, even when other dudes was like you know how some dudes try to like really impress you and they try to be all up in. I wasn't Bruce. Bruce was like the laid back, the cool dude. He was always trying to be like that peacemaker in between when people were going on. Even though he crazy, he was always like the peacemaker, trying to make sure everybody was good, the kind of take charge of all of the friends. And I really like that about him. And I was drawn to that because y'all know there's something about a man with a good walk. There's something about that walk that just be like, hey, how you doing? And then he had a cute smile. So I was like, was he
She trying to make me blush on this camera.
Facts, y'all. Facts. There's something about the walk. He just, oh, and then he does this little pose. He does this pose to this day, y'all. I got pictures. I should have brought it, but he does this pose, and I'm like, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's all right with me. And he's always had that, and that is one of the things that drew me and impressed me. But the way that he loved his family and that he takes care of family, that was really huge. There's been a lot of things that we've learned and discovered, but even in our dating, you know, he had stopped to, you know, live with his grandmother because she was going through like some sickness at that time. And for him to be willing to, you know, stop and be there so that she could be okay, I was like, this is pretty cool. When this is a time frame when you should be out about doing your own thing, but he was okay with having to live with her just to make sure that she was all right. And I said, okay, he stands by taking care and being a caretaker and a family person, and that was a huge impression for me because I said, okay, he has a heart, and that's what I'm about. So yeah, those are my first impressions.
That's so beautiful. This is beautiful. So you all, for those of you that are just coming in, so great to see you're just starting to hear the story. You all, they met at 12. At 12 years old, they met, and God evolved it into this amazing thing. So I want to go back to this question. It sounded like you all said that you were talking, you had a wedding plan, then you went to the justice of the peace. So I want to know, how did you know that things were getting serious, that you needed to get married? Like, how did you know that things had gotten that serious?
Well, I think it probably started with me. I was at a point in my life, and we got married at age 23, so we were pretty young. But you know, I was at a point in my life where I knew what I wanted. Um, I've I was, you know, I've had experience with dating other women, and I knew that that wasn't it. You know what I mean? But since we did have history, and I knew of her when we were kids, when we linked back up as adults, and then I saw who she had evolved into. I mean, it was a no-brainer for me, honestly. Like I knew. I mean, probably almost immediately. And I probably wouldn't have told her that at the time, but I knew in my mind that's what my wife. Yeah.
So this is Jesus sprinkle, right? And we all about keeping it real, right? So you know, I knew him and I knew of his qualities. And I knew that he had traits that I was like, okay, this could be someone that I'm okay with being my covering. But this Jesus sprinkle, we're going to keep it all the way 100, right? And how did we speed from it being in June and then you just went to the justice of the peace? He's a good looking man. And I look pretty good. And we're supposed to be living in the holiness, but temptation got hot, yo. It got hot, and I was just like, okay. And you know, even when you are caught up in those type of moments, um, at our center, God has always been our center. Absolutely. And the guilt and the things that I felt afterwards, I was like, look, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm not good with this. And I'm like, June is a long ways away. And I was like, this ain't gonna work, sir. And he was like, okay, well, what do you want to do about it? And I was like, look, we need to speed this thing on up because we're not gonna be doing good. And I was like, I can't die. And then, you know, the Lord be like, what's going on with you, Tiffany? And I was like, he was good looking. Like, that's not gonna be the excuse that I was gonna have. So that kind of spurred us on up to hey, we gotta take it to the courthouse and get right. So
and don't get us wrong, you know, we're not encouraging anybody to speed through and rush through it like we did. You know, to take your time.
Right.
But yeah, that was the mindset at the time. We didn't want to be living in sin and being wrong.
Right.
Like we knew we was attracted to each other. I knew she was gonna be my wife. And why wait? You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and do this.
That's powerful, you all. I thank you all so much for sharing this realness and also the way that you're talking about. We wanted to honor God, and so honoring God was more important than a wedding. I mean, that is so incredible. And I know, I know just from being in contact with Tiffany that you all have some amazing celebrations coming up to celebrate. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that for you guys. All right, so look back on some of the expectations that you had before marriage. How have your expectations of yourself and your spouse, how have your expectations changed?
You want
I can start.
to go?
All right. So, you know, Tiffany talked about, you know, keeping it real. And I think that's extremely important. When you're growing up, you know, especially in the church, you know, and you see couples, you know, people that you look up to, that you respect. Um, when we got married, I quickly realized that, okay, a lot of what we saw was just surface stuff, right? And so you gain expectations on what marriage is based on what you see. And you know, if I'm being real about my upcoming, I didn't have a great example in the home. Like my father, he was gone by the time I was 10 years old. So I didn't grow up with a dad in the home. When he was there, you know, with some, you know, abuse happening, there's some domestic violence going on. So I didn't have a great example of what a husband is, what a true good father is. You know, I do appreciate and respect the brothers that I grew up in and got a chance to talk to and spend some time with in church. But like I said, you know, you get a lot of surface stuff. They don't dig down and, you know, tell you, hey, come here, let me talk to you. What's real about a relationship? What's real about being a husband? You know, and so it didn't take us long to realize that maybe our expectations about what this is not what it actually, you know, what the reality is. You know, and it threw us. To be honest with you, it threw us. Like I'm thinking, is something wrong with me?
Yeah.
You know, am I doing something wrong here? Or, you know, and I'm pretty sure she probably had some of those same thoughts. Um, you know, it it wasn't stop it. It wasn't always, you know, peach. You understand? You know, we had to go through some rough times. But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, for those who are looking to get married, who are single, listen, understand that you're human. Okay, don't expect your partner to be this perfect picture that you've drawn in your mind of what it should be. Everybody is different individually, and every couple is different as a unit.
Yeah.
Just because something works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
And for me, my expectation. So I came up with a mom and a dad who was very much I'm the head of the household.
Military sergeant.
Right. All the way as military as you can think of, y'all. That was my daddy. Okay. Like people when they kind of meet him for the first time, they're like, you know, like like that's the type of impression my dad gets. And I was always under the expectation that whoever I was going to marry, I didn't want them to be wow like he was, like just the drill, but I wanted that covering. And my parents raised me up to be the independent. Like my dad was very big on you don't need to depend on any man. I'm going to teach you how to change the oil, how to change the brakes in your car. If your car breaks down, you know how to change your tire. I want you to be able to do things so that you're not dependent on a man. And I need you to make sure the sky's the limit. Like even when it came to dating, it was always, I don't want you to settle. Like I need you to date as many people as possible. I'm like, what? And he was like, you need to be dating as many people as you can. He was like, don't settle for just one relationship. He was like, have 4 or 5 so you know what you like and what you don't like. And it was always from both my mom and my dad was, you are going to be who you need to be, and you don't need to care about what other people have. So when it came to marriage, I still had a lot of that. Hey, if he ain't gonna do it, yeah, I'm gonna do it myself. And it was a struggle because there is something to being submissive. There is a beauty in submissiveness. And I missed that because of what was ingrained in you got to be, if he won't, all right, fine, you pick up and you do. And there is a way that you do that, but there is an expectation of it's a give and a take. And there are some things that I got to pull up on, even though I know that I can do it and I can step in. I still have to allow him to be man, head of household. I gotta allow him to do what he needs to do. And like Bruce said, we struggled and clashed a little bit because I have been living on my own for a good little minute. And then I had my own apartment, had like this, like I had all this type of stuff. And then when you're bringing someone who doesn't have that in, and I'm a little particular. And when it comes to, wanting things to, when it comes to like things being a certain type of way, I had that. And then he is and so it was a meshing that had to be done. And the expectations, like I said, I was trying to fit the mold of my mom, who was the cook, the cleaner, the person. She took care of all of the household duties and the making sure family was together and that we were good. And now my expectation is that some of the things that mom showed and some of the things that mom and dad taught, amazing. And I will cherish those, but it don't fit for what Bruce and Tiffany do. And it's okay if it doesn't fit. It's okay. And that is one of the things that now we are coming to almost 15 years later, understanding that we don't have to fit the mold of what you see or what our perceptions of it is. We don't have to do that. And I think we came to an epiphany like not that long ago, where when it comes to expectations for each other and what we were expecting, we have put a lot of time into like on our jobs. And I think for the most part, all of us have some melanin in our skin. On the Jesus Sprinkle side, there's an expectation and a bar that we have to be whenever we go out in whatever role you're in. People are going to see you, and we have to rise to a certain occasion. And you cannot slack on that just because we're not afforded that opportunity. And we discovered in our expectations with ourselves that we have to be so on. He's a manager, like a manager for the Department of Children and Families for the state of Florida. Okay. That's where he at right now. And then I work for United Healthcare. And we always have to be in that kind of perfect mode because we can't afford to have mistakes or let something slip because, they don't give us any slack. But we were carrying that into what we wanted for each other. And we realized that we were missing each other because we were trying to be perfect picture. I wanted to be perfect Tiffany because I wanted him to be okay and I didn't want him to lack and I didn't want him to see me in a worse state. And when we actually stopped and had that conversation, I was like, we're trying to be perfect. And I'm like, I don't gotta be perfect for you because you with me. Like, I don't have to be that perfect. I can be imperfect and we can be perfect for each other. And that is our new expectation that we have just gotten into, that we are making more of a practice for ourselves.
If there's nowhere else that you can truly be yourself, it should be in your home, with your spouse, with your family. The imperfect in all, and it's okay. Like for her to tell me, look, it's okay, babe. You don't have to be perfect. Woo, thank you. I could have my shortcomings with you. And it was the same for her. Look, you don't gotta be perfect. Look, you already perfect with your imperfect. How you say it? How you say it?
The imperfect.
Yeah, whatever. Y'all know what we're talking about. You ain't got to be perfect.
Yep.
And it was a huge weight
Yeah.
lifted, knowing that we could just be ourselves with each other.
Yep.
Wow, you guys. This is you all are really we're amening in the chat. Chat's the whole amen corner. So we're not trying to distract you all, but what you all are dropping is so powerful. You mentioned sort of the ecology, I would say, of being, a melanated person in this country and how that can weigh on your relationships. You also mentioned how what you see in the church and what you see, what you're seeing in relationships, we're not already always seeing the real. And so I really appreciate you talking about these things, just as you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the next question is, how did you all cope during challenges and deciding not to walk away in your marriage at different times?
I'll let you go first on that
one. It really comes down to being determined. That's the best way that I can describe that. Now, I'm not going to say that there were not moments where I wanted to walk away. Like, I actually attempted to, because I was like, look, I'm not doing this, because he's very heavy in music. It was the time where we had just had our son, and we were still growing, trying to get through. And then let me rewind too. So when we had our son, y'all, we didn't want kids right away. I was like, there's still too much I want to do, too much that I want to, try to achieve and that type of thing before I have kids. And I took measures to try to not have children. And my body rejected it. And so I still ended up getting pregnant. And I went through really bad postpartum depression. And it took over for a good little bit. And I was at a point where I was like, I'm just tired of this. Now, this was at a time where he was literally like starting to take off in like church realm, everything, of what was, happening for him in group and singing and stuff like that. And if you know him and if you've seen him in his work, he is a music person, like loves music. And it's almost like he breathes, like how we breathe. Music is like that for him. And at that time, we were still learning how to communicate with each other and how to say what it is that we need or we don't. And I was just fed up because I said, you put everything else before me, and I'm over this. Like, I'm gonna take my stuff, I'm gonna go. I was like, you can take the car that you have and you can keep that. I was like, I don't need none of your stuff, nothing. I was like, I'll let you know where I'm at when I get there. You can still see your child, all that. I was ready to walk out. And he was like, what? And he's more expressive when he's angry than I am. And he was like, you can't do that. And he is very big on when we get into our discussions, have our heated discussions. Yeah, our arguments. When we get into those, he is one who likes to not sleeping. We're not doing nothing. I gotta resolve this right here, right now. Right now. I am the opposite. I'm like, back up, give me 50 feet. I need a day. I need maybe 2, depending on how mad you done made me. Don't come in my face. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't have nothing to do with you. Like, that's me when I get upset. And so it was learning how to compromise. And when we get into those phases, and then learning how to just understand that I still have to be here, because this is a commitment and a choice that we chose to do. Like, we chose to be committed to each other, and we said it's forever. We said, like, we didn't even see like divorce or things like that. Like, we didn't do prenup. Like, no, because we get banked on this is going to be forever, and we're going to put work in. So you have to be determined in whether or not you're going to stand. And even in that determination, sometimes that means that you're going to have to bow down. Now, you remember I told you I was Miss Independent. So it was learning how to chill out, come down and ease up. And there's some things that you don't have to say. Like, I was that. Sometimes being quiet tears him up more than me saying something to him. And so I had to learn that. And above all of those pieces, God was always at the center.
Yep, that's the key.
Like that has always been our going back, because we are Christians first in everything that we do. So how we talk to each other and how we approach with each other, it's, am I viewing him from God's standpoint, or is it what Tiff wants? And that is one of the things that has been huge in whether or not we've walked away. Like, it's been the factor that has probably kept us together, because we had God. We went through a bout of homelessness. Okay. Like, we were homeless and did not have any money, any funds.
Had one child.
Yeah.
And one on the way.
And one on the way. Yeah. And we had you. And this is the other thing. We weren't out there living our best life, like balling all out of control. Like, that wasn't our case. We were working. We were paying our bills on time. We had beautiful town. It was a beautiful home. Oh, my house is beautiful. Like, we were doing the right things. We were uneducated about student loans and how they work. And back then, they didn't have the regulations in place. And they came after him first. And then they came after me, and we blew through all of our savings. We blew through everything that we had. Like, there was nothing that we could have done, at that time, because we weren't educated about how things should have worked or how they should not have worked. And that was a moment where it was nobody but God that kept us together. You talk about us having to get broke down all the way.
Yeah.
Like, we prided ourselves in being together, having a home, trying to establish it, living out the American dream. Like, we were trying to establish that. And yeah.
And we really can go on and on about this, but I know we don't have all day. But one of the things I did want to touch on, she mentioned that God was always the center. Listen, that's extremely important. Not saying that I mean, it in my opinion, it's impossible if you don't have God at the center of your relationship. One of the things that we learned, in keeping God at our center, was one time we was in Bible study. I think it was Sunday school, and I'm gonna shout out my brother. His name, brother Mike Perry. He had said something one Sunday, changed my whole life. He said he was talking about marriage and his marriage with his wife, and he was like, "Listen, I'm not your enemy." And that struck me like a ton of bricks. What that said to me was, I'm not here to hurt you. I love you. If there was something that I did to hurt you, trust me, it's not intentional. And then vice versa. When I saw it from from that vantage point, that this is my wife, she loves me. If I'm hurt by something, it's not because she's trying to intentionally hurt me, because she's not my enemy. We got enough enemies out there in the world. When you're married to somebody that you truly love and God is the center, it's important for you to understand, like, when you have disagreements, because you will have disagreements, it's not because that person is trying to be your enemy. That's if they truly love you. Now, there are some circumstances where that's not the case and you shouldn't be in that situation anyway, but that's another story. But when it comes to Tiffany and I, once we realize I'm not your enemy, I'm your cheerleader, I'm here for you, that helped put a whole lot of things in perspective for us.
That is so powerful. I am not your enemy. I am your cheerleader. You don't have to fight against each other. That's beautiful. What I hear is you all fighting for your marriage, fighting for the togetherness, and it's so powerful, so incredibly powerful. All right, you guys, can you unpack the concepts of trust and boundaries in the context of a godly marriage? Trust and boundaries.
Go ahead, you the smart one.
When it comes to our trust and boundaries, for us, it really goes back to having those real raw conversations about the hurt that we experienced, what things are acceptable and what are not. Like, there were some things that were like non-negotiable for us. Like, we when we were talking, I'm gonna went back to that Riverview conversation or Riverwalk conversation, and we were really getting down to the root of, okay, if my mom gets sick, I need you to understand that I got to take care of her. If my dad happens to die, no question, my mom has to be here, like, because she's not going to be able to do it on her own. Are you okay with that? And it was, well, I'm the, head boy in my household, and so if anything goes down, I need to be able to get away and go and take care of business. Are you okay with that? And it was really having real deal stuff, that was a big thing. I was very, again, particular about how I like stuff to be organized. Are you all right with that? Like, are you gonna be okay? Like cleaning, like stuff you don't even think about. Like we had conversations about, like, okay. And it was always from Bruce's standpoint, like, I'm going to trust you to do it. He travels a lot. He's on the road. He's in people's faces. There are females who I know want him, young, old, and everything. He don't be believing it, but look, y'all ladies, look, we know, okay? Like, I know, I hear the conversation. Anytime an old lady would tell you, child, if I was just a little bit younger, I'd probably have him to your face. I'd be like,
Ain't nobody told her that.
he don't be believing it, but look, they be real. Them old ones be real with you, and they be like, and you be like, okay, and you be like, I love you, love you with the love of the Lord. But it was one of those things where my big thing for him was, hey, I understand that people are going to want to be there with you. Like, we can go to church functions and I don't get to sit with my husband because I know he's going to be called. I know something's going to be happen. And I have to understand that you do what you got to do. We're in public faces. I get it. But at the end of the day, I need you to understand that if you decide to step out, this, and that, like, we have those real conversations about what works and what doesn't work. I'm good with you doing X, Y, Z. And he'll tell me the same. Look, I don't mind you doing this, but if it's going to be, with this, it ain't going to happen. Like, we just have to keep it open and honest. And we don't dictate to each other to say, you got to do this or that. It is more of a, this is what is real for me. And I want you to understand that that's where I come from. And that's how we put up that's how we build our trust. And that's one of the things that I tell him a lot. I'm like, I love you because you've never given me a reason to doubt you. And I said, when I start having reasons to doubt, that's when we're going to have some issues. And his thing always back to me is, well, I'm never going to make that happen. Like, that's what he says. And we build and we make sure that we're intentional in the things that we have with one another. When it comes to our boundaries, the only thing I can think of is like with family, kids, that type of thing. So we're going to keep it real. We're learning. We still learning how to make that happen. Like,
and that's what I was going to say. It takes time. And like she said, communication, talking with one another. One of the things that I learned when it comes to, because this is a very broad topic. We could, like I said, we could go on and on, but I'm gonna use a specific example. Our firstborn, our son, who's now 13. All right. And you're talking about parenting and learning how to parent together with different upbringings. Yes. I told y'all earlier, 103rd. Okay, Duval County. That's where I'm from.
That's where he's from.
All right. Okay. And I still carry those tendencies, even though I love the Lord. I do. I love the Lord. But some of those tendencies do rise to the surface if I'm pushed there. And so, we have to have those conversations. We love our son to life. He presents so many different challenges, and before we make a move, we have to say, hey, let's talk about this. This happened. How you want to have it? And we don't always agree, but we have to find that middle ground.
Right. And that's a boundary, because if you haven't talked about how you want to rear your children, or your perspective on what rearing is and his perspective of rearing, we got two different mindsets when it comes to that. And so you have to have boundaries in that, because sometimes, like he was saying, your upbringing can travel into who you are. And I mean, it's going to be a part of you regardless, but we try to make sure that when it comes to extended families, like we know what we do is what we do. He'll tell you all day, I don't care. Like, if I want to do it, that's what we're going to do. Like, that's him. Now, I'm more, hey, we shouldn't be like that. Yeah, I'm the one who's like, don't be like that. But we have to have those parameters of what we will reveal and what we don't reveal to others, because we could express something in the heat of our emotional state, and the other people don't know. We've talked about it, we've reconciled, we've moved on, they're still holding on to that, and so they only see what we brought to them. So you can't be out there doing everything else. Now, one thing that I will say, as far as boundaries, um, for women, and I think for men too, but for us, you need to have people who are willing to pour into you, that have your best interest at heart. I have been able to keep my boundaries. I've been able to keep my trust with him, because I got sisters who will pull me in quick half minute and be like, "Sissy, wrong. Like, Tiff, get right. Like, go and get right with him. You was foul for that." Like, they will tell me to my face, and I give them all sorts of attitude, but they'll be like, at the end of the day, what matters? Like, do you want to be with your husband, or do you want to be by yourself? Which one do you want to do? And it is that thing that has kept us into our trust, and filling up our trust bank, and filling up the love that we have for each other. Those are essential when it comes to boundaries and trusting.
Prayer, prayer, prayer. When you're getting ready to have those conversations, and I don't mean to sound cliche, I know a lot of us are Christians on here. Listen, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer works.
Yes.
You have to keep that at the center.
Yep.
It's definitely a must.
It is.
Amen. Amen. So tell us, what role does God have in your marriage? And I know that you've talked about it already, but just fill it out for you individually, Tiffany, for you individually, Bruce, and then together. What role does God have?
I mean, he's the center. And I'm glad you asked that question, because I wanted to touch on this earlier, but I forgot to. We have there's this Bible app that we have. Tiffany and we actually complete different plans together about marriage, and that was a game changer for us too.
Yeah.
Just learning the different perspectives, the different principles that's in the Bible when it comes to communication, when it comes to being a husband, being a wife, understanding that there are other people out there that go through the same struggles in married life that we do. It was comforting. We learned different ways of how to talk to each other, how not to be so fast to be angry. All that is God and his principles.
Oh, God.
She putting all my business out there here with y'all, but it's okay, because we trying to help people. And this is another thing that me and you talked about. Once we would started going through our troubles in marriage, we would say to each other, "Look, when people come and ask us about marriage, I said, look, we go keep it real, because people didn't tell us the truth.
No, they didn't.
They want to give us, the sunny side. No, give us those dark days.
Yeah.
All right. It's important to understand that there are dark days, but it's also important to understand that it's okay. That doesn't make you crazy. That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad couple.
Nope.
We are human. We have a whole baggage of past that we're carrying with us into a relationship. And that does not go away just because you said I do.
It does not. It actually adds to when you say I do, because you are trying to be who you are, and then who you think that they want, and what you really need to be for that. And it's a growth process. But for who God is, God is everything. And God, Jesus sprinkle y'all, God is everything. And I say that because I have evolved, I think, in even my knowing who God is. Because when we were coming up, it was kind of like you knew you had to be at church on Sunday. You knew you went to Sunday evening worship. You knew Bible class, and then whatever special stuff you were in, you knew you had to be that. I always say that my relationship with God, I've always been a church girl, but my relationship with God got deeper, got stronger when I got married because it was a learning lesson. I told y'all before, I was Miss Independent. I was, it's going to be what I need to be. I'm going to make it happen. He don't show up, okay. But what I had to learn that I had to get humbled. Like God had to humble me. When you talk about you get knocked down, like I prided myself in being the one that people could come to when they were, having issues or things were going on. I prided in being the one in my circle who had it together. And when the tough times started happening, when I was homeless, when I couldn't afford to do like I used to do and go out and do this and that, and I had to tell my girls, like, y'all, I'm struggling. Like, I ain't got it like that. Like, I had to be real. Like, I ain't got that. Like, I can't be out, going on trips and doing stuff. Like, we ain't in that space because we got to eat. And so it was like, I couldn't do that. And when I learned the power of opening up my mouth and not suffering by myself and not suffering in silence and getting wise counsel, when I tell y'all, it was the game changer. And one of the things that I think that we don't do enough of as I think men and women, but women more so, there's not a lot of older sisters that are willing to pour into younger sisters and keep it real about, look, you want to make him happy? This is what you got to do. Like, I literally have women in my circle that are mentors who will be like, look, I'm gonna teach you how to turn them out. Like, I'm gonna teach you how to, you want Bruce to be there for you, you want him to open up, this is what you got to do for him. You got to be willing to play the game. You got to, hey, men need certain, Jesus Sprinkle, we keeping it real. Men need, they need sex, they need to feel appreciated and respected. And I was one where I got overwhelmed and I was like, I ain't doing this. Like, all right, whatever. And I wasn't trying to be that. And I had to realize that, Tiffany, if you're going to love him, if I profess to love God the way that I say that I love God, and he's my all in all, I gotta love him as being my
All right, since you touched on that,
all.
I have to touch on this. And I noticed that, I don't see a lot of guys that's, oh, this is a woman platform? Oh, okay, I thought. Okay, my bad. Never mind. But anyway, what I was gonna say, men, we pride, okay? Men have egos. You probably heard that before. It doesn't hurt to reiterate that. Men have egos. So if you're serious about loving that man, okay, you have to be mindful. You have to be thoughtful about that. All right. You can't overlook it. You can't be stubborn and say, look, I don't care that he got pride or he got ego. No, it matters that you feed that. Okay. That if I'm saying if you love the person, like, if you love the person, you want to have a lasting relationship, it's important to understand that from a man's perspective.
And then I think someone in the chat, because I was scrolling through, asked, did we pray when we were going through like our hardship stuff? And we did. Now, the crazy thing about it is we will pray because we believe in, okay, we got to pray at the end of whenever we get together, or like if we have taken time apart and we're reconciling, we do pray about things. But I believe that you can pray even when you're angry and not really put belief in it. And it changes when I start believing in what I'm actually praying for. And so, yeah, I pray. We do that. But I have another moment, another realm, my meditation time where I'm praying for, Lord, pray for me. Like, help me to get through Tiffany. Like, help me to get off of, he's getting on my nerves and I don't like him today. And I don't want to like him, but I know I'm supposed to. Like, you got to be real about it. And I got to believe that God is going to help me open me. Because one thing about marriage is that, a lot of times it's about, they say it's a happy wife, happy life, or, like vice versa, it's taught. But really, it's about you being real enough with you, and then being open enough to know that there's somebody else who's on me as I'm being in this real journey. And you got to know you hands down in order for you to get through the things that you're trying to grow and aspire to. If you can't be real with Tiffany about what Tiffany got hangups on, if he can't be real about what he got hangups on, then we're going to give each other versions of ourselves and what we're trying to do.
There's a question in the chat. Say, how do you feed the ego?
That's
Great,
that's
great question.
how do I feed your ego?
So listen, I mean, and there's multiple ways to do it, but if you have a man, you're in love with that man, there are some qualities about him
Mhm.
that you appreciate.
Mhm.
Even though we might say, I don't need you to appreciate me or say it, listen, it's important for you to point out the good things that he does. Okay. Um, you know, earlier we was talking about how we always have to be on everywhere we go. And everybody's situation is not the same, But for us, we have to be always smiling, always shaking hands, always positive, because our energy, because of what we do and what we represent, it can either help somebody or bring them down because of how they perceive us. And so it's important, that when your man is doing something right, tell him. We take pride in providing. We take pride in professing our love and being that rock for our families. If your man is doing that, tell him that. You know, don't just take it for granted that he knows. No, say it and then show him. I'm telling you, it will do wonders for his response to that when it comes to you.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other pieces, but we would have to have another Jesus sprinkle about what
Yeah.
women can do for men because it's a whole nother ball. That's a whole nother Jesus sprinkle.
I already knew these 10 questions that we had wasn't gonna fit into this hour, and I know we over an hour, but take it away,
Is
Kelly.
it's all good, guys. We want to have you back. We definitely want to have you all back. So we want to wrap up with how would your married self coach your single self, and what advice do you have for singles who desire kingdom marriage?
I would say, well, for me, I would tell my single self, listen, this is not going to be what you think it is. Practice patience now. Practice listening now. So when those situations come up, you're ready for it.
I would say to my single self and then to all of my sisters who are still waiting for them, achieve the things that you want first. Because I think a lot of times, in hindsight, I was expecting him to achieve a certain level, and I thought that if he achieves that, then I'm gonna be okay. But that wasn't the case, and I was thinking or under the impression that I can still go after. But when you get married and you say I do, I know it's harder to believe, but something switches when you say I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but it
Life.
does happen. And it's not a bad thing, but that's when the real work begins. And when you have children, that changes the game. If you are a achiever who likes to, like I was one who wanted to climb up the corporate ladder. Like I was, acting supervisor, at that time, getting into management. So I thought before things went south. But there are things that I knew about me that Tiff wanted to do. And when you're married, um, if your partner and you are coming from different worlds, trying to sometimes mesh what your achievement goals and stuff for you may not be on their radar and it may not be on their list. And so while it's important, this is what I want to do, they're going to support you, but they may not understand the drive to get to. And so I will always say, achieve the things that you want to do for yourself. first, because marriage is about give and take.
Yeah.
And there are going to be moments where you might have to pull back and you won't be able to be corporate person because you got children. You have a son who has mental health issues. And so now you have to be
You have to shift, you
different.
have to adjust.
You can't be gone because that can send him into something. Like, these are things that came up that wasn't expected.
Can I just add just one thing?
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I touched on that earlier, I believe, but it's important for, single folks out there dating and, thinking about getting married. Even a lot of stuff that we're saying, you could take it and apply it, but if it doesn't work, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not the right thing for you, because you have to figure out what it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everybody is different, and it's okay, but it takes communication with that person to understand what those differences are, and if you truly love each other, how y'all gonna make that thing work together.
And then to my single self, and then to my single sisters that I have now, don't get caught up in the I want to be with somebody syndrome. Because in the one I want to be with somebody, that means that there's still some things that you haven't resolved within you. And so I would go back and tell Tiffany, know you first before you step down and you say I do, because you're going to grow through some things. There's going to be some things that I believe God leads us to. And you have to know, like I had to know me before I could even open myself to possibilities of him. We want the affection. We want the, oh, he looks at me and he loves me and he's going to be there for me. And we want the comfort of having the man present, because keep it real, y'all. You want that man. Look, you okay with having that, hey, I got a brother here. He's good. Like, you just want that. But there's more to just wanting that companionship. There has to be you got to know you. When you know you, and you're okay with like going out and dating you. That's what I always tell them. Are you good with going out on a date for yourself? Like, can you do that? Can you? Like, can you really be okay with I rolled by myself, I went out by myself, I paid by myself, and I got home by myself? Can you be okay in walking in that?
Yeah.
If you're not okay in that, you may not be ready to say I do that, because if you're looking for him to fulfill that, you're going to always come up short. He's always going to come up short in your eye. And so you've got to know and be okay with you, love you unapologetically, because I couldn't be what he needed to be. I couldn't grow into what he needed to be until I loved Tiffany unapologetically. I was good going out. Me, myself, and I, we had a great time. And when we went out and we were good, then I could bring someone else into that space because I knew what I wanted. So if you're looking for that, start there first. And then when you get there, then that's when you can invite somebody else, because you have a standard of what works and what doesn't work, and what you will accept and what you won't accept. And of course, keeping God in your center. But he'll open up those doors, he'll unleash, and he'll allow you to deal with some of those hurts, some of those things that have scarred you. But the good thing about scars is that when they heal, they provide new skin. And your new skin is something that you can walk in.
Amen. Oh my goodness. You all, this has been so incredibly powerful. This is just, you all, this is the start to our Jesus Sprinkle 2023. And y'all have just done the thing. So, you guys, I just want to share with you all a couple of the things that are coming up that have to do with some of the things that Bruce and Tiffany have been talking about today. So, really quickly, if you all can see this, give me a second. All right. So, no, that didn't work. Okay, no problem. So, you all, want to share with you all that Jesus Sprinkle is actually working with Avis Robinson, because we absolutely support the wealth and health of good, godly marriages. So, Avis Robinson on February the 10th, obviously around Valentine's Day, is doing an event for couples, and it's going to be absolutely dynamic. They're going to be matching T-shirts involved, and like a sparkling cider chocolates. I mean, it's going to be absolutely amazing, and it's a very unique experience. And couples are actually going to do some coloring and communicating together. And it's going to be hot. Look at this package. The first package is Turn Off the Lights, King and Queen experience. Then there's going to be the My Sharia More experience, and then the Let's Stay Together experience. And all of the couples that have been a part of Jesus Sprinkle in any way, whether Shepherds and Crowns or God Written Love Stories, we have a code for you all to be able to get 10% off any of these packages that you want. And we hope that you will enjoy that. Again, we are about supporting marriages here at Jesus Sprinkle. All right, then we have something for our single sisters. It is we're launching the Jesus Sprinkle Relaxation Coloring Book, and that will be held on February the 17th at 6:30. And you'll get the Jesus Sprinkle Coloring Book, colored pencils, and cider. It's kind of like a sip and paint, but it's a sip and color. All right. Now, Bruce and Tiffany have talked about knowing yourself, developing who you are. And this amazing community, that Good Thing exclusive community, has absolutely been invaluable in my own journey. And so please look on the Jesus Sprinkle Facebook page for information about this. You see a whole lot of information about this. Open enrollment has already begun for this, and they will launch on February the 5th. So I hope that you will take this opportunity. I cannot express enough how much it means to be able to invest in yourself, to get in that community that Tiffany was talking about that she has as a married woman. This community is for you as a single woman to develop yourself, to develop and really do it transparently with a group of people who are willing to hold you accountable and also love on you dearly and pray for you. All right. All right. Jesus Sprinkle, the 2023 season is going to involve us having more Facebook content creators, more God written love stories, and of course, Shepherds and Crowns. We're also going to be doing a She Transform series, talking to different single sisters about their transformation journey. And that season is going to begin in February and end in September. And then hopefully in the holiday months, we'll be coming together for some good fun stuff. All right. You all, Jesus Sprinkle has just dropped or published our first devotional that is collaborative. 17 Jesus Sprinkles just came together to write this book, and I believe that it's going to be a blessing to you. Our book launch, our virtual book launch, will be on the evening of January the 28th. And so we'll have a God written love story that afternoon at 1, and then we'll have the launch later on that evening. We hope that you will join us. Look for more information about this on the Facebook page. All right, on February the 4th, you all, we will have a virtual 5K. Jesus Sprinkle is doing a virtual 5K. It will involve a 3.1 mile walk. It will be via Zoom. There'll be music and conversation. It's going to be lots of fun. And we will also have a t-shirt. Well, you all, I just want to say thank you all so freaking much for being here with us today. And thank you for allowing me to do this commercial. All right. Oh, thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany already has our book. Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. Well, Bruce and Tiffany, thank you, girl. Thank you. We want to bring you all back. So I want you all to consider coming back to us and just digging in a little bit more on some of the things that you all said with our Shepherds and Crowns. Okay. All right.
I'll think
All
about
right.
He's
Okay.
so
Okay.
crazy. He's such a clown.
Well, brother Tunsil, we're gonna try to get Brother Tunsil to sing for us in the after party. Brother Tunsil, would you lead us out in prayer so we can go ahead and get to this after party?
All right, let us pray. Father God, which art in heaven, Lord, we thank you so much for allowing us to see another day, a day that was not promised to us. Well, I just want to thank you at this time for this ministry. Lord, it can help so many people. Lord, and I just pray that you will continue to bless it, you to wrap your arms around this, Lord, that it may go out to anyone and everyone who's willing to hear, willing to listen, willing to be a part of this, to learn and grow, Lord. We thank you so much for this marriage that you have blessed, that you have brought together, the Lord. I just pray that Tiffany and I continue to be a beacon of light, the Lord, that we're able to be a source of encouragement to those who are in need. Lord, we thank you so much once again for your many blessings. We love you, we praise you, and we glorify your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all so much. All right, you
Amen.
all, thank you so much for joining us today.